Hello and welcome to the Piper Street Food Company. My name is Damien and today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful Salsa Verde, a green sauce. Now it's spring and with the promise of rain and warmer weather, the herb garden is full of wonderful, beautiful herbs, and this is the time to take advantage of that. Today we're going to make a Salsa Verde using some fresh mint, some parsley, I've got some anchovies, some garlic, some capers and some lemon here, and we're going to round it out with beautiful extra virgin olive oil from Barfold Olives. Now this recipe is a very fluid recipe. There's some fundamentals that we need. We need some acid, we need some salt, but the herbs can be mixed up as you go through. We're going to make a beautiful Salsa Verde to go with a roast beetroot and asparagus salad today, but if I was making a lamb roast, Salsa Verde with heaps of mint is absolutely beautiful. If I was grilling some chicken, Salsa Verde with loads of tarragon is fantastic. If I was going to have some fish, Salsa Verde with loads and loads of dill is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So it is really fluid. Make it your own, add what you want to it. Again, today we're going to use some mint and some parsley and it's going to go with our beetroot salad. So let's get into it. We're going to start here. I've got some fresh continental parsley. Now I've got about 2 cups worth of parsley here. And I'll just show you what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll my herbs up here into a nice tight ball. And then I'm going to come across it with my knife, just gathering as I go, keeping it as tight as I possibly can, because what that'll do, it will do the majority of the cutting in the first pass. And we'll only have to go back over it once or twice. Now, depending on what your finished result is, or you want it to be, is to how fine you will cut your herbs. Okay, we're going to keep it fairly rustic today. We're going to keep it fairly coarse. We don't want it to be too grassy in our mouth, but we want to be able to see all of those beautiful herbs and the defined lines. So just a couple more passes here. This recipe can also be done in a food processor as well, but just bear in mind it needs to be nice and sharp, the blade in the food processor, otherwise you'll just mince the herbs and they'll lose all of their integrity. Okay, so into the bowl we go with our parsley. And now we do the same with the mint. So if I say I've got about 2 cups of parsley, I've got about a cup of mint, picked and washed and loose. Beautiful fragrance, and like I said, spring is the perfect time of year to indulge in this sort of thing. The Salsa Verde is best made and used in a short period of time. It can sit in the fridge for a few days, but you just have to bear in mind that the herbs will lose their vibrancy over time. So when the chicken goes in the oven for roasting, get out into that garden, pick the herbs, and away you go. So the parsley is chopped also. We'll just tidy up that board a bit. So now I'm going to take here, I've got some anchovy fillets. Now don't be afraid if you're not an anchovy fan, this here isn't an anchovy dish. They just add as a seasoning at the end. Again, we'll just give that a fine chop. And then to this, I'm going to add just a scrap of garlic. And when I say a scrap of garlic, I'm just going to take off a small amount of a clove like so. So nothing too generous, because we don't want that to be the overpowering or overriding flavour. Again, a fine chop, and then what I'm going to do now that I've done that is just using the side of my knife here, I'm just going to push that into the board and just help break that up into a finer paste so that the flavour distributes nice and evenly throughout the Salsa Verde. You can see here that I'm using a wooden board, and if you know my family, they will tell you that everything that they eat tastes like garlic, because I don't discriminate on which board I use. So you're having your toast, it tastes like garlic. I cut up an apple, it tastes like garlic. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Capers. I'm going to grab a tablespoon or so of capers, and again, the same thing goes. I'm just going to run my knife over those, give them a quick chop. Small capers are good for this recipe. If you had larger capers that were in brine, perhaps just give them a quick rinse to get some of that extra brine off them and squeeze them out before you go ahead and make the Salsa Verde. In there like so as well. Okay, so in here, let's have a look. We've got our herbs, our parsley and our mint. We've got our anchovies. We can see that there on the side here with our garlic, and we've just added our capers to that as well. Before I get started, I'm just going to give it a couple of turns with the pepper grinder. A small pinch of salt, bearing in mind we've got those capers and those anchovies in there as well, so we're just going to be a little bit of salt. And now the acid, so we're going to add some lemon to it as well. We'll start off, we're going to go the juice of a whole lemon. So you can appreciate the assertiveness and the vibrancy of this dish here, of this sauce. You know, all of that wonderful flavour, the garlic, the anchovies, the capers, this assertiveness of that lemon that's in there as well. And now to that, I've got my extra virgin olive oil. We're using Barfold's olive oil today. Local olive oil. Absolutely wonderful. I'll just add an amount here, and then I'm just going to start to mix that in like so. You can see that's quite dry, so we'll just take a little bit more. And you can make this salsa verde as tight or as loose as you like with the amount of oil that you add to it. You can see here there's a wonderful, wonderful aromas that are coming out of this bowl. Absolutely beautiful. And so you can appreciate, like I said, making this as close as possible to serving to give it that beautiful vibrancy and that beautiful punch of all of those garden herbs. Okay, so you can see in there, that is our salsa verde. Okay, absolutely beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to assemble the salad with the beetroots and the asparagus. I'll just tidy myself up a little bit here. Okay, so my plate like so. Now this is just an assembly process here. I've got these beautiful beetroots here. These have been cooked in cold water up to the boil and then simmered for about 20 minutes to half an hour until they're just cooked through, and then we have taken them out and we've just rubbed the skins off them. We've also then just added a little bit of vinegar to it, just a white wine vinegar, just to soak up into the beetroot, again, just to increase that vibrancy. I've got some asparagus spears, and it's perfect time of year, spring and asparagus. So some asparagus spears here, and all I've done is rolled them in some of the extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of salt, and I've just popped them in a pan onto a low heat and just added a little bit of colour, and that's just helped to soften those as well. I'm going to team all of that up with this beautiful labneh from Dreaming Goat Dairy, which is a wonderful dairy up at Modangita, and great hard-working people and a beautiful product. Okay, let's have a look here. Like I said, this is just an assembly process, and I always say when you're building a salad, is build in layers. Okay, don't just put the whole thing onto the plate at once. Step by step. We'll take a few pieces of beetroot here like so, and then we're going to take over some of this asparagus here. This here is a great salad on its own as a light supper, but you could also team it up with a bit of smoked trout or some cold meats and those sorts of things as well. And again, it's one of those salads that gives us that promise of spring and all the beautiful weather to come, outdoor eating and all of those sorts of things. Let's get one or two more spears on here like so, just around the plate. Now what I'm going to do here is I'll take a little bit of this labneh from Dreaming Goat, grab myself another spoon here. So this is going to add a little bit of creaminess to the dish, as well as a beautiful colour contrast as well, as you can see here. And one of my favourite combinations is goat's cheese and beetroot. Like so. And then finally, we're going to finish this off with our wonderful salsa verde. And we'll just drizzle this around. And it's really going to lift all of those wonderful earthy flavours, those beetroots and the asparagus, as well as that beautiful goat cheese. There you go. And just to finish that off, I mean, not compulsory, but I've got these wonderful toasted almonds here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of crunch and a bit of texture to our salad here, like so. And these are lightly toasted, these almonds. And that there is our goat cheese and asparagus salad, dressed with our salsa verde. All of those wonderful herbs, like I said, from the garden. We're using mint, we're using parsley here today. If you keep that base of the olive oil, the lemon juice, anchovies, garlic and capers, and then the herbs can be yours, whatever you wish. Dill, tarragon, mint, chervil, all of those wonderful soft herbs. Thank you for joining us here at the Piper Street Food Company. I look forward to seeing you next time.